Hello from Baku, dear Motorsport-Magazin friends and Formula One fans. What are we doing here in Baku so late in the year and dressed a little fancier than usual? Of course, the FIA prize giving, the big gala at the end of the season, where the World Championship trophy is presented. Unfortunately, the whole event is overshadowed by an affair, as you have no doubt noticed over the last few days, around Mercedes head of motorsport Toto Wolff and his wife Susie Wolff. It has to be said that it's not really an affair because it's now clear that there was nothing. Much ado about nothing, but of course that is still the big issue here. Motorsport is supposed to be celebrated here, the world champions are supposed to be crowned, not only in Formula One but also in the other FIA racing series. But that's what people are mainly talking about. What happened? I'm sure you've all heard about it. There was a report in a not particularly reputable Formula One magazine that there is a compliance investigation by the FIA against Toto Wolff and his wife Susie Wolff. Susie Wolff is the head of the F1 Academy, and some saw a conflict of interest between the team boss of a Formula One team and an employee of Liberty Media, i.e. FOM, on the other side. It is now clear that there is nothing behind it at all, but the whole affair was very, very heated. There were statements from all sides. The FIA has said that yes, there was an investigation, no names were mentioned, but everyone knew who it would be, of course. Formula One was very surprised. Then all the teams came forward. The report originally said that the teams, or that some teams, should have something against Susie and Toto Wolff being in this relationship. Then all the teams, everyone except Mercedes, said, no, wait, we haven't complained at all, there's nothing behind it. There was a joint statement, and then there was the statement from the FIA in which they said, yes, there was nothing, so nothing has come out of it, everything is fine. But that wasn't the end of it. There were statements from Susie Wolff and also from Mercedes. They even reserved the right to take legal action, reputational damage, and so on. A very, very sensitive topic, compliance, integrity. And here at the FIA Gala, it is customary for there to be press conferences beforehand. However, the president, Mohammed bin Sulayem, stayed away from this press conference. For health reasons, according to reports. Like many in the Formula One circus, he was caught out and laid up after the season, and he also fell and suffered a concussion. It's understandable that he doesn't want to talk to us, but it's also understandable that in the current situation, especially when Mercedes is threatening legal action, you don't want to say anything about it. All in all, it was very unfortunate on the part of the FIA. I think they tried to do everything right here to communicate openly, as is always demanded by the world governing body. In this case, however, it backfired. If they hadn't said anything, people would have complained about why they remained silent, but they said something. Now, on the other hand, there are of course complaints that something has been said, even if they don't really get specific. So unfortunately at the event, where motorsport is supposed to be celebrated, all this is in the foreground. But there was also another press conference. One press conference? No. There are several press conferences before the festivities begin, before the food and drink. All the FIA champions have to take part, from World Rally champions to Formula 2 and Formula 3 champions, and of course Formula 1 world champions, and we were looking forward to it and were very excited. Lewis Hamilton was at a press conference and gala evening like this for the first time since the 2020 F1 season. In 2021, he was also among the top 3 in the Formula 1 standings. After Abu Dhabi, however, he skipped the event. I asked him about it, how he feels now, whether this is an event like any other, or whether there is something else. On the one hand, because of Abu Dhabi 2021, because it's the first time since 2020. On the other hand, because he was sitting alone on stage. There were 4 chairs next to the presenter, and he was sitting all alone. That wasn't actually on the agenda. And Max Verstappen, Christian Horner, Checo Perez should have been next to him. Horner and Verstappen were sitting further back. They were there, but they weren't on stage with him. That wasn't actually the plan. It really was a very strange scene. And Lewis Hamilton also didn't even mention Abu Dhabi 2021 at all, but he did mention the events of the last few days. We said it. Unfortunately, it overshadows the whole thing here. And he said that what happened there was unacceptable, that the integrity of Susie Wolff in particular was called into question. And he actually attacked the leadership of the FIA, individuals in the FIA. He didn't name any names. But we can probably imagine that he was referring to Mohammed bin Sulayem, the president. There are individuals who are trying to do something about it. So Lewis Hamilton, who was anything but in a good mood, also questioned the venue of Baku for sustainability reasons. Everyone has to fly here. Why not do it in Paris and so on? However, it is a worldwide event. Not everyone comes directly from Paris. We also traveled here. Of course, the journey here is a bit further than to Paris. But well, so be it. Later on, the Red Bull officials also took their seats on this stage, except for Sergio Perez. He was a little late. But Christian Horner and Max Verstappen were there to answer questions. Of course, the World Championship title was also celebrated a little here and savored a little, but there's not really much new to report. We have already had the opportunity to talk to him about these outstanding performances during the 2023 Formula One season. Max Verstappen was later officially presented with the World Championship trophy. He was crowned F1 World Champion for the third time in a row. Of course, you don't get the trophy for free, you have to earn it. Gifted, well, good keyword. Maybe your loved ones will get a present from you, namely a print subscription to your favorite Motorsport-Magazin. The link is in the video description. If you act in time, you will also receive a physical voucher. Of course, it's always nicer under the Christmas tree than a printed version. I mentioned earlier that there are several press conferences here, including the young drivers. It starts with karting. The karting champions, that's really great. They are very young boys. I'm curious to see whether you'll see them in the press conference in the next few years when it comes to Formula 3, Formula 2, or maybe even Formula 1 at some point. Formula 2, Formula 3, the reigning champions also there. Theo Pourchaire was crowned champion in Abu Dhabi. For Gabriel Bortoleto in Formula 3, it's been a bit longer. The season has been over for a while. Some very interesting topics of conversation came up. Of course, there was the question of how the promotion to Formula 1 would look, as Theo Pourchaire is the next Formula 2 champion, who will not be racing in Formula 1 next season. He says, well, the Formula 2 champion actually deserves to drive in Formula 1, but he will most likely end up in the Super Formula. So in the Japanese series, he has just returned from a test, but he is anything but satisfied with it. He would have expected more, perhaps also looking at the Sauber Academy. They said he had to win the championship, which he has done, but it has to be said, of course, that it was his third season in Formula 3 in which he has won the championship. This virtually rules him out as a super talent if you want to be tough. The same naturally applies to Felipe Drugovich last season. Nobody sees a fault in the system. But of course, it always depends on the competitive situation in the individual championship. Gabriel Bortoleto, who took part in the Formula 2 test in Abu Dhabi a few days ago, will compete there next season. And he took a realistic view of the whole thing, but said it was quite good for him. Why is that? Of course, it also has to do with other factors, including the Formula 1 grid. Of course, Theo Pourchaire said the same thing. There won't be a single driver change in 2024. Gabriel Bortoleto has already done the math. Yes, some contracts are coming to an end. He'll be in his rookie season and then he could come at the right time, that there might be room for him in the Premier class. But he has always emphasized that timing, whatever, it doesn't matter. In the end, you have to perform. And that's what everyone who was here today, who was sitting on the press conference stage, who were later presented with a trophy, they have already done that. And that's why we want to take a look at a few impressions of this event without getting too political again. Just enjoy the evening here. That was it, the 2023 FIA Awards ceremony. Yes, motorsport could be so beautiful without politics. I think it's a real shame that the whole thing was overshadowed by the headlines beforehand. Now we have really enjoyed sport in its purest form. We've celebrated many world champions who also have their justification outside of Formula 1, which we don't even realize. We also celebrated motorsport and the automobile here. As you can see, the wine speaks a little out of me. I'm now sitting in the place where Max Verstappen sat earlier during the whole ceremony. I'd say we'll just leave it at that for now. I'll drink a little more. We're celebrating the sport. That's how it should be more often. We are now looking forward to a wonderful, reflective Christmas season. But you know us, that's far from it at Motorsport-Magazin.com. We have not only been celebrating and drinking here, but we also attended press conferences and media sessions. We talked to people, and you can look forward to many more exciting stories in the coming days, not only here on YouTube, but of course also on our website. And that's not all. The season may be over on the track, but we still have many exciting stories for you. Until then, here's to the 2023 season.